You talk about immersing in the experience. I think one of the biggest things that I'm noticing is that I have a huge fear of making mistakes. And being here, it's teaching me not to fear those mistakes, but be immersed in it and discover, okay, this is not working, how do I go from there?
Yeah.
And as I get more used to, say, making my many mistakes and enjoying them in the sense of, well, this is
the
teaching
learning they
me.
give you,
Yeah, this is teaching me what not to do, because I.
Yeah, but also that can be an enjoyable process as well. Like, you know, unfortunately at school, most of us learned the principle of punishment.
Yeah.
And we associated the principle of punishment with our inability to learn a thing, or our inability to understand the thing. And so now we have fears associated with learning, which we shouldn't have, because God didn't design us to have those fears associated with learning. But we have learnt to create fears associated with learning. And this is very, very damaging to our experience of the universe.
Yes, and what I was putting it together as, you talk about pollution and the air and everything like that. So when we get to a point and we're growing up and we say, oh, the air smells, oh, well, it's almost a feeling like, I don't want to know about that because that's sort of like a mistake, I have to fix that. You know what I mean?
It's a problem sometimes other people created, and you're going to have to do something about it because everyone's going to be affected by it.
Yeah, but we don't want to address mistakes, let's say. We don't want to address things because it's...
Often of our own and others.
Yes, because it might lead back from the very beginning where I don't want to even acknowledge my mistake, you know. And,
that's right.
And be punished, let's say, or whatever. So,
but even punishment is a human construct.
Yeah.
It is. It's like, you look at the learning experience that a normal baby goes through learning to walk, for example. Whenever they fall over, they don't view it as a punishment. They just view it as, I didn't know enough, right? And they don't even think that. They're just like, I want to walk, damn it. You know, like, I'm learning. No matter what's happening, I'm learning. Like a bit of pain for it, who cares? I'm learning. You know, they don't go through this sort of thing of going, there's a bit of pain in it now, so I can't learn anymore. You know, I should restrict that action now. You know, we'd all be crawling on our hands and knees if we'd all done that, right? So, you know, the reality is we wanted to learn, and this is a natural inbuilt instinctual thing that God's inbuilt into us, that we want to learn, and the only thing that's changed that is human sin, like people being afraid of our learning. You know, and what we might learn, good or bad, you know, that they're afraid of what we might learn. Of course, when there's pain associated with learning, then obviously there's going to be some emotional association between, that's not a good thing to do. So, you know, when you put your finger first, when a child puts his finger on the stove and it's actually on, and they burn themselves, they go, that's not a good thing to do. I'm not doing that again. But you can't really even call that so much a mistake, can you? It's really like something they had to learn, right? Because you can tell a person, don't do that, it's dangerous, don't do that. You know, all of you, most of you who are brought up children, you know this, right? You tell them, how many times did you tell them not to touch the stove? And did they end up doing it? Yep. How many times did they end up doing it? Once. And then they learn, right? And because learning, the primary part of your learning is an experience. It's not something you're told. It's something you have to experience in order to learn. And it's the same with all truth you could ever discover in the universe. You must experience it in order to learn. So God created the universe as an experiential universe. So it's something you've got to experience so that you learn. And the main way you learn is by personally experiencing it. You don't learn by being told a thing. Right? Now, you can trust the person who tells you, right? So, for example, with a child, he could have slowly put his hand closer and closer and closer to the stove, couldn't he? Till he got really, really close to the stove. And then he might have learnt that it's hot and it's going to get too hot without actually touching it and burning himself, couldn't he? Because your fingers have, and your body has that sense of when something's too hot. So he could have done that. But, you know, as you know, most children at the beginning just rush into everything.
Yeah.
Just like many of you still rush into everything. Right? And they're rushing into everything. And so naturally, when you rush into a thing without being reflective, there is a possibility that you're going to get hurt faster. Certainly. Sort of like, okay, I'm going to decide to create a spaceship, and I've got the means and I've got the mass to do it and I've got the ability to do it, so I create one and I shoot myself out of space, but I don't imagine that it's a place with no oxygen. So I'm a goner, right?
Yeah.
So that's a person who does something without circumspection, without thinking what is out there, measuring first. And what they did to know that it was a vacuum and no oxygen is they sent probes up first. So don't risk your own life when it looks dangerous, is the principle, right? And that's a principle you learn over time. Don't risk your own life if something looks dangerous. So, you know, all this free climbing stuff that people do, it looks pretty dangerous. I don't know if it's very wise doing it. A lot of people I know who've done it died. Maybe they're doing it for an emotional reason. And why would you do something that you know is dangerous and still do it? That's a good question, isn't it? There's got to be some emotional thing going on inside of you that drives you to such a thing. Obviously, you're not learning, you're resisted to learning. Because a fundamental part of learning is learning what is dangerous and what isn't. Learning what are the limits of your body, for example, is a very, very important thing to do.
Yes, and also I was thinking about control, like when I'm bent on control and I don't like the feeling of being uncertain, I'm not willing to take these steps enough to...
The risks of learning.
Yeah, the risks of learning. I'm not enjoying it, I want to be in control, and that stops and hinders a lot of further, development and
correct.
Coming up with something really beautiful even,
Yep. Yeah. So, God designed the universe that all of those things that we create, like control and power and all these other things we try to create, they are all adverse to our learning and therefore adverse to our growth. And functionally, they're also adverse to love. Yeah. So you can understand that whenever you enter a state of control, you are adverse to love. Yeah. So therefore, there must be, remember I said, the mass in the universe are all governed by love. So anything that's adverse to love is not going to be good to you. Yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah.